Today, Apple released the brand new, redesigned 24-inch iMac running Apple Silicon. Right after the Spring Forward event ended, I put up a video with my first initial impressions of the iMac, which were mostly positive. But after a few more hours of actually being able to look at this iMac and spend time thinking about the design and the ports and the price, it's kind of disappointing. Hey, I'm Jerry, and let's just get right into it. I don't think that this 24-inch iMac with the Apple M1 chip is actually that good. Yes, it does have that M1 chip, which has essentially been universally praised as being a feat of engineering and a super fast chip in the MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, and the Mac Mini. And I have no doubt that it's going to perform just as well inside the new iMac. But it's the other parts of the iMac that are a little meh, or even worse. At first look, when you first look at the new iMacs, they're kind of striking. They actually look really good. They have a fresh new design. They have new colors that really just pop in your face, and it's striking coming from just the options of silver in iMacs or, discontinued space gray in the iMac Pro. They're actually very similar to what most of the rumors pointed towards, which is an XDR-like display, right? With thin bezels on the side and a nice flat stand that's not curved and rounded and more modern. And a couple of weeks ago, there were rumors that we're going to be getting pale colored iMacs reminiscent of the iPad Air 4. And they were kind of correct. On the front, we do have those pale colors, whether it's blue, green, pink, yellow, orange, and whatever that is, purple. They are pale in the front, but they're nice and vibrant on the back. I think the backside is much more impressive and much more fun, right? If you're going to be doing colors on a desktop computer, you may as well make it actually fun. Not this pale on the front, the only part that you're actually going to see, and then really colorful on the back that the wall's going to see. Tim Cook did say something in the presentation about how the back of the iMac is the first thing that most people see. But I don't believe that. I think most computers are up against a wall and nobody's going to see the back of it, or very few people. Other than that, I think the dark colors are cool, and if the front had the same dark color as the back, I think it would be a much better design. One of the biggest things that people pointed to as dating the previous generation iMacs was the thick bezels all the way around the screen. Well, as you can see, the bezels on the brand new 24-inch iMac are not all that thin. They're actually still quite thick compared to modern display standards based on third-party displays and even other manufacturers of all-in-one computers. Now, if you're trying to compare this against the Pro Display XDR, you can see that the Pro Display XDR actually has much thinner bezels that actually look modern and nice and premium. But the displays on the 24-inch iMac are just not that much less compared to the previous generation iMacs. And the bezels are white. WTF, why are the bezels white? Why did they promote this new iMac as a great multimedia device for watching video and have these bright white thick bezels all the way around the screen? I don't understand it. I think white is the worst possible color that you could have made the bezels. You could have made them the same color as the anodized aluminum and it would not have been as bad as this white color on the bezels. Then there's the chin. Another thing that people pointed to on the previous generation iMacs as making it look dated. Now, they still have a chin on the brand new 24-inch iMac, and they tried to justify it by showing how the speakers worked, right? They have a 6-speaker array built into the chin of the brand new iMac, which is great. I'm all for better speakers, and I hope that they actually sound just as good as they made it sound on stage. But when you take that chin with that thicker bezel and no Apple logo on the bottom of the chin, this actually looks like a third-party knockoff iMac. It actually looks like something not made by Apple, somebody trying to imitate Apple. It has a design that just looks cheap from the front. No matter which color you choose, the lack of an Apple logo doesn't identify it as an Apple product. You can't really tell it's an Apple product from the front because it doesn't have any brand recognition based on the design at this time. It doesn't look like a Pro Display XDR. It doesn't look like the previous iMac. It looks like a cheap HP version or some Chinese knockoff that's trying to imitate the iMac, and it's doing a really bad job. All right, so that's most of my issues with the design of the brand new 24-inch iMac. But next up is the ports, or lack thereof. The iMac page shows this iMac with 2 Thunderbolt ports and 2 USB-C ports. But that's not even what you can get with the base iMac. The base iMac comes with 2 Thunderbolt ports and that's it. And if you pay more money and upgrade to the $1499 model, you can actually get Ethernet built into the power adapter that plugs into the back of the iMac, but it's not on the iMac itself. And if you just go with the base model iMac for $1299, you only get 2 Thunderbolt ports, no extra USB ports, no Ethernet port, that's it. You do actually get a headphone jack on the side of the iMac, which that's great, that's helpful, but you don't get an SD card, you don't get USB-A, you don't get additional USB-C ports on the base model. It's very, very limited on the port selection for what price you're paying for a desktop computer. And it's not like they couldn't have made the iMac a little bit thicker, right? There's no reason they couldn't have made it a little bit thicker so you could actually stick an Ethernet cable into the back of the iMac without some kind of special apparatus that connects through the power cable. I would much rather have a thicker computer behind the display without thick bezels and without a chin than what we have now. There's no reason I can't have a 3-inch thick iMac display that has no bezel and no chin with everything built in and still give me the same great speakers or even better, maybe even better cooling, maybe even better port selection. I still wouldn't see it to be behind the display. That would be much more preferable to this thick bezel, thick chin design. So I mentioned the speakers before. I'm actually excited to try them out. I hope they're as good as Apple made them sound. Hopefully they're as good or better than what you can get in the previous generation 27-inch iMac. Apple also said that the new iMac has spatial audio, which somehow it produces through just the 2 speakers. It probably bounces the sound down and then makes it sound like it's coming from all around you. I think it would have been nice if Apple could put more speakers into the iMac and give you a more immersive sound, right? If the iPad Pro can have 4 speakers, which is a much smaller, thinner device, why can't the iMac? Now, when it comes to the display, you get a 24-inch 4.5K Retina display, P3 wide color gamut, you get True Tone, you get 500 nits of brightness, and you get an anti-reflective coating. And that sounds exactly like the previous 4K display and the previous 5K display. At 4.5K, most likely that's the exact same resolution as the 4K 21-inch iMac, just scaled up to 24 inches. So it looks like they're using pretty much the exact same display. There's nothing new in the display technology. It's not brighter. It's not listed as HDR compliant. So you're really just not getting any kind of an upgrade on the display of the brand new 24-inch iMac. Now, when you start to look at the pricing for these new iMacs, the baseline looks about right for previous generation iMacs with the 4K display. You get the 8-core CPU with just the 7-core GPU, like the baseline MacBook Air. You get 256 gigs of storage, 8 gigs of RAM, and you get the standard keyboard and mouse, not the keyboard with Touch ID built in. When you upgrade to $1499, so another $200, you get that 1 extra core of GPU. You get still the same 256 and 8 gigs. You get 2 additional USB 4 ports, and you get that gigabit Ethernet, along with that Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. And then for another $200 above that, you can get 512 gigs of storage. And we don't know what the cost of the additional memory to jump from 8 gigabytes to 16 gigabytes is going to cost, but it's probably going to be roughly $200 like the other M1 Macs, which actually seems pretty expensive for what you would get in a 24-inch iMac with 512 gigs of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM, compared to the previous Intel-based iMacs like the 27-inch iMac, which starts at about $1,800. And you can get even better upgraded models refurbished from the Apple Store for about the same price. So when you're looking at spending $1,500 or more on an all-in-one computer that's running an integrated graphics processor and with such low specs, it actually seems like not a great deal at this time. So at second look of the brand new 24-inch iMac, I'm just not that impressed. I don't think the design is that great. I think they could have made the back of the iMac a little deeper, removed the bezels on the side of the display, and eliminated the chin, and we would have come out with a much more modern, amazing design. It's nice that Apple's adding colors back into their computer lines in general. I just am not a fan of the pale colors on the front. If you're gonna go with colors, go bold or just don't do them. And I know that the M1s and these new iMacs are first generation products, right? And there's going to be some limitations like the limited number of Thunderbolt ports. But with those limitations and the fact that it seems like they're using the same screen technology they've been using for multiple years, and the specs are just not that high, starting with 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM, it seems like they're a bit overpriced at this time. But what do you guys think? Do you guys like the design of the new iMacs? Or do you plan on getting one? Let me know below. I will definitely be picking one up, and I'll share all of my thoughts when I actually get it and test it. So hit subscribe to make sure you catch those videos later. If you're interested in seeing my first thoughts on today's announcement of the new iPad Pros, check out this video right over here. Hit thumbs up if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.